Okay, alright, welcome to your next online music lesson. This one's going to be on rhythm notation. But before we start with rhythm notation, we're going to do a spiral starter on the stuff we did last lesson. So, we looked at the notes of the treble clef and the bass clef last lesson. So, your first task is to name the following notes and don't forget to check the clef. Okay, so remember, this is the treble clef, this is the bass clef. The notes are different on both. Okay, what you should remember is the phrases "every good boy deserves football," "face in the spaces." That'll help you with the treble clef. And for the bass clef, we had "Ghostbusters drive fast always" being the notes on the lines, and in the spaces we had "all cows eat grass." Okay, use that knowledge to answer these 6 questions. Do this on paper, please, while you're working at home, because at the end I'm going to ask you to take a photo of all the work you've done today and submit it by taking a photo. So pause the video, work through those 6 questions, and when you're finished, we'll go through the answers. Okay, so you've joined us back, you've had a go at the 6 questions, and you're ready for the answers. So, okay, the first one was D, alright, that's because it is the treble clef. We use the phrase "every good boy deserves football" to identify the notes on the lines. So here we go, I've got "every good boy deserves." Okay, so there's our D. Okay, similarly, number 2 is G, okay, because it's "every good." Alright, so that's G for the second one. The third one is B, standing for boy, okay, "every good boy deserves football." So that one is B. And then we have our first note in the space, which is number 4, and that's an F. And you can see that's in a space because it's in between 2 lines, and it spells face in the spaces, so that note there is an F. We then move on to the bass clef for number 5. So these two are a little bit more challenging, but if you remembered Ghostbusters drive, okay, so the middle line was drive, so that one's a D. And finally, it was "all cows eat grass" for the notes in the spaces, so that is an E. If you're unsure about that and you're getting some of these wrong, it might be worthwhile watching back last week's lesson to really go over that and remember it, because I will be handing out music when we can play the keyboards again, and you'll be expected to be able to read the notes, because otherwise I have to write the notes on for everybody and it'll take me forever. So please put in the effort and learn those notes. Okay, and if you've done really well on that task, excellent, that's a really good start to today. So we're going to look at rhythm notation. So first of all, I found this picture on the internet, and it's good in the respect that it shows us that here's a note that's worth so many beats, and these 2 notes fit into that. Okay, these 4 notes, these ones that are coloured in, they fit into each of these. Okay, so there's 2 that fit into that one. Okay, and then there's 2 of these that fit into one of those. So we've got 8 notes on this line, so they're called 8th notes in America. And finally, we've got 16th notes because 4 of these fit into one of those. Okay, one of the quavers. Now, these are the American names on the side, okay, and they do make sense, okay. A whole note fits a bar, generally. Most bars are 4/4, so it'll be 4 beats. So that makes sense. 2 half notes, they're called half notes because 2 fit in a bar. Quarter notes because 4 fit in a bar. 8th notes because 8 fit into a bar. And finally, 16th notes because 16 fit into a bar. That's a really sensible way of doing it. However, in England, we use more complicated terms. We use Italian terms. Okay, so we've got the semi-brief being the first one. It's worth 4 beats. Okay, so although this, what's called a rhythm tree, is good, all right, and it doesn't tell us a lot, it doesn't tell us how much that beat is worth. So I've added some extra information on. So the semi-brief, it's worth 4 beats. Okay, the next one is a minim. Okay, the minim is worth 2 beats. Okay, so 2 of them fit into one semi-brief because that's 4. 2 2s, 4. So you need, that's how that all works. Okay, and then we've got the crotchet. That's worth 1 beat. That should be an equal sign. That's worth 1 beat, and you can see normally in a bar of 4/4, 4 beats in a bar, you'd have 4 of those. Okay, then we have the quavers. They're worth half a beat. Okay, and again, 2 of them fit into 1 beat. Okay, so that makes sense. And finally, the semiquaver is a quarter of a beat. Okay, so each one of them is a quarter of a beat, and that is really evenly spread, which I want to demonstrate. Okay, so Miss Park will have taught you the semi-briefs being clapped like this. So this is a semi-brief. This is a semi-brief. and that's lasting 4 beats. Okay, if I was to count that 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a semi-breve. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a semi-breve. I hope you can hear that that lasts for 4 beats. The next one's a minute, okay, and that lasts for 2 beats. So that a minim's got 2 syllables in it, so you can go minim, minim, okay. So a minim has got 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I'm only clapping on the 1. I'm not clapping on the 2 because it lasts that whole 2 beats. Okay, so I'll do that again. Minim, 1, 2, 1, 2, minim, minim. Okay, then we get to the crotchet. Now the crotchet's on every beat. Okay, so it's just 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I tend to use drinks to help teach this. Okay, so from this point on, I'm going to use drinks to help us clap them. Okay, so the crotchet's 1 beat, and I would use the phrase T, 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 T. And the reason I use T is because the next one I use is coffee. Okay, so this is evenly split. This is the quaver, and the quaver uses coffee. All right, so just going to hide that because the next thing's going to come up. So here we go. We've got T, 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 coffee, 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 coffee. And the first thing I want to explain there is that they are evenly spread. Okay, I'm not going coffee, 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 because that would be a gap in between each one. Okay, these are when they're bridged together, that covers 1 beat. Okay, so that's how we know. So it's evenly spread. So make sure when you're practicing this, you're going to do coffee, 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 coffee. Nice and evenly split. For the last one we use Coca-Cola, all right, the semi-quaver. All right, and these are worth a quarter of a beat, so this is a bit faster, and I'll demonstrate this. So we've got T, that's 1 beat, T, T. Let's speed it up to go coffee, 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 coffee. Now Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. Okay, so there's 4 of them within each beat. So hopefully you remember some of that from year 7, and what you're going to watch now is a video of me demonstrating in the classroom when we mix up quavers and semi-quavers, okay, because I've got some drinks that I use to help you clap them as well. Okay, I'll also demonstrate on the drums how this all relates to a real life instrument. So the next clip you're going to see is me in the classroom teaching you a little bit more about rhythm.
Right, so we're going to have a look at mixing quavers and semi-quavers, and the way I teach this is by using the drinks, as you can see on the board. So normally if you're in the classroom, I'd get us all to pick rhythms together, so it's random, but I'm just going to pick some random ones now. Okay, so one of the main things we're focusing on is mixing semi-quavers and quavers. So the first rhythm I'm going to choose is 2 semi-quavers and a quaver, okay, and that gives us the sound lemonade. Alright, so if I write in a different colour underneath, you can see the kind of phonetics, which are the words that I use to kind of teach us how to clap these rhythms, because it's important not just to be able to know how many beats each one's worth, but also to be able to clap them, because really practically that's what we need to be able to do. We're trying to combine 2 pieces of knowledge now, so where we learn to read the notes, which notes what on the staff, we also need to know what rhythm those notes are played in. So these are some ways that we can learn some of the rhythms. So the other one that we can mix is hot chocolate, okay, which is kind of the opposite of lemonade. So say hot chocolate for that one. And then I'll pick 2 others at random. I like to put an apostrophe, so it's just so you know it's only 2 syllables. Let's put Coca-Cola in. And a coffee. Let's start with coffee, why not? So those are phonetic ways that I teach us how to learn those rhythms. Okay, so that can be played on drums, that could be played on piano if you put notes to it as well, but we're just focused on rhythm today. Alright, so to clap that rhythm, you would, first of all, each gap, alright, this is a beat, okay? So when you see something like this, it's a beat, alright? That is our 1 beat, okay? 1 beat. So that's why we separate them off into groups like this, okay? Because that tells us that all happens in 1 beat. Now it happens evenly. Often when I teach children this, they'll go coffee, 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 okay? And that's not even, okay? It should be coffee, 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 coffee. So I'm going to demonstrate on the drums. So my right foot, the bass drum's always going to do the beat, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate all of these. So T, it's just the beat. So D, 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 D. Now I was talking about evenly spreading the beat. So evenly spreading the beat, you need to, I'm going to use the word coffee to do quavers. Okay, so coffee, 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 coffee. I am not speeding the coffee up so it's not evenly spread. Okay, it's not, doesn't sound like this. Okay, it's even. All right, it's half a beat. Okay, so you need to make sure it's half a beat long. Okay, Coca-Cola. That's going to be 4 in 1 beat. Like I said earlier, if it's in a group, all right, it's going to be 4 in 1 beat. So let's have a look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. Okay, so 4 notes in 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All evenly spread as well. But when you come to lemonade and hot chocolate, those are not evenly spread because you've got 2 semiquavers followed by a quaver, or a quaver followed by 2 semiquavers. So lemonade sounds like lemonade, 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 lemonade. And that almost is like a gallop like a horse would make. So it's a bit like a gallop. Alright, hot chocolate is kind of like the opposite of lemonade. So hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate. So instead of having the longer note at the end, you got the longer note at the beginning. So lemonade, 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 hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot chocolate, hot. Okay, so this rhythm that we've got on the board is coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola, coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola, coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola, coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola. Okay, so again, I said you could play this on drums. So, coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola, coffee, lemonade, hot chocolate, Coca-Cola, coffee.
Okay, so hopefully that video has helped you understand how to use semiquavers and quavers in the same beat, and some helpful tips for that. But now it's time to do your written activity. So you've already done some work on paper with the starter activity. I'd like you to continue on the same piece of paper because, like I said at the end, I want you to take photos of your work and submit your work that way this week. So I've taken photos of the worksheets that everyone's working on in school. So again, you can complete this on your own paper by writing the answer to each question. You don't have to write out the questions, just write out the answer, that is fine. But there are 3 worksheets, so make sure on your piece of paper you're labelling which worksheet you're working on first. Okay, so the first one I would advise doing is the adding and subtracting. Okay, and it uses musical symbols. Now read the top of the sheet. Okay, it gives you the symbol, gives you the name of the note, and also gives you how many beats it's worth. Okay, you've got to come up with how many beats. You've got to work out how many beats that sum comes up to. So I'm looking at the first one now, and you've got a semi-breve added to a minim. Okay, so you're adding 4 beats with 2 beats, so that'll be 6. If you have any questions, please put them in the Google Classroom comments, okay, and I will answer them, or Miss Park will answer them if she's your teacher. So, like I said, the first sheet is adding and subtracting, the second sheet is multiplication and division, and the final worksheet is algebra, all using rhythm to come up with these answers. So, work on those sheets, okay, you're going to pause the video now and make a start, okay. Remember, you're doing all the work on paper, and yes, once you've finished, so pause the video now, once you've finished, come back and I'll explain how to submit your work. So submitting your work, first of all, take a photo. If you've got Google Classroom on your phone, this will be easy. Just take a photo of it and then go to Google Classroom, go to the assignment that we're working on. If you can't find it, click classwork at the top. This one's called rhythm notation. And then if you click classwork, click on rhythm notation, the title, you'll then be able to click on view assignment and it'll bring you to the assignment. On the right hand side, there's a box that says add or create. Okay, click on that. Find your photo from your device and upload it. Finally, don't forget to turn it in when you submit it. This means I will probably find it faster that you've done the work and I'll be able to give you some feedback. Okay, so if there's any problems, please put your comments into Google Classroom. I'll get back to you on this Park. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, enjoy doing the work, and I hope you're all staying safe, and I'll see you all when you're back.